Hey everybody, welcome back to another Gravity Ace. Welcome back to another Gravity Ace dev stream. I was gonna say podcast for some reason. I'm gonna work on some bugs today. Some bugs, some enhancements, a little progress update on where I'm at with the game, where I'm at with my mind. I'm gonna ramble a little bit. I wrote down 2 pages of things that it's kind of been on my mind lately. Anyway, we'll see what happens. I guess in general, game's doing great. I'm gonna try to do two different things at once right here. Game's going great. Couple 3 weeks ago, I kind of went on I don't know what you call it. I panicked? No, that's not right. I just sort of impulsively decided, you know what, let's get some help, basically. I wanted to get some help on making the game. And that was driven by a couple of different reasons. And I'll get into the history of it in a little bit, but it's just not going as quickly as I'd hoped. I'm not giving up on the game. Just to be clear, I'm just say that right off the bat. I'm not giving up on anything. I'm going to finish this game. But it just wasn't going as quickly as I wanted. And so I asked for some help. I actually hired a couple of guys to help with the some of the things that I'm lagging on. And it's been great so far. It's been great. One of the guys, actually, my friend Peter, he's been finding bugs for me. That's one of the things he's been doing, kind of incidental to the work he's doing for me. And one of the bugs that I'm trying to fix here is he said he had a level where when you died inside of a gravity well, that when the ship respawned, the gravity well wasn't affecting it. So I'm just trying to test and reproduce that right here. So yeah, it definitely doesn't seem to be working. I wonder why that is. It's got to be something to do with... Yeah, it's got to do something to do with the signaling. I wonder if it's a bug in 3.2. See, the gravity well is working now. If I die and then respawn inside of it... No, see that? Now it's working. Now it's working. Try that again. Maybe it's just that initial respawn. Maybe it's something to do with going from the level editor. So here I am. No, that's fine. What if I do this? Now it's working. I swear it. You guys saw that, right? It wasn't working for a second. It's got to have something to do... Maybe it has something to do with the gravity well itself. When I create this, that's probably what it is. And then start. Let's see if it does it here. No. It's fine. Let's see. Go into the editor, delete, create a new one, make that bigger, and then... So this will be a fresh respawn inside the gravity well. And it's working. I swore I saw it not working. God, I hate that. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. So, like, I have a signal. Let me pause this and I'll show you. I have a signal on these gravity wells. Right. So when a physics body enters the collision area, or when it exits, it does this signal. And the gravity well itself should override should do a space override on whatever gravity is affecting any body that's inside of its radius. This should work whether there's a signal or not. The signals are only to do certain things. If the body going into the gravity well has this variable, then it changes the scale of the body to that value. That way, what that does is it gives bullets dynamic gravity. So bullets aren't affected by gravity unless they're in a gravity well, and then they deflect, then they're attracted. But then as soon as they exit the gravity well, they go back to zero again. So bullets will curve as they go through, but then when they're outside of gravity well, they're not affected by gravity anymore. So that's all the signals do. The gravity well itself, this stuff right here, should automatically replace the gravity of any physics body inside of it. So maybe I was hallucinating, but I swore I saw it happening, and now I can't reproduce it. Peter saw it happen, and he told me about it, but I can't reproduce it. So I'm going to put that to the bottom of the list. I'm going to put that to the bottom of the list right now and come back to it. I'll come back to it later. So I hired a couple of guys to help me with the game, and I don't know. I think I was telling Peter about this, that my personal identity, I guess, has been wrapped up in being a solo indie game developer for so long that it felt difficult to give up control of the game. Excuse me, I'm drinking some coffee here. It felt difficult to give up control of the game, and it was very uncomfortable to do. And I wasn't even giving up control of the whole thing. I'm obviously still in charge of everything. It's just, a couple of small pieces I was getting some help on. But for years, I'd been telling people and myself that I'm making this game by myself. I'm doing this game by myself. I'm doing it solo, hard mode. And I don't know, I'm still examining these feelings, but it's like, you told yourself, I'm going to do this, improve something to myself. And then to ask for help almost feels like a failure. It feels like failure. It feels a little like failure. But the reason I had to do it was because I just wasn't making the progress that I wanted to make on the game, right? And if I want to finish it in a reasonable amount of time, I need help. That's the bottom line. Back in 2018, when I started this game, it started out as a small project. Hold on a second, I'm trying to find something here. There we go. And I worked on it for a couple weeks, built the prototype. Great. Then I put it down for a couple months. But in that time, somewhere in there, I decided, I'm going to finish this thing. I'm going to commit to it. I'm going to publish this game. I'm going to make it a commercial project. I'm going to make some money from it. I'm going to sell it. I'm going to try to. And, I promised myself, this one I'm not going to quit. right? I'm going to keep going. No matter how painful it becomes, I'm going to finish it. I didn't give myself a date, which is good, because I think if I had given myself a date, I'd have already failed. I'd have quit. But I didn't give myself a date, so that was 2018. And then in I think March that year, I met a group of people who were doing game development, a local game dev meetup. Those guys are great, very supportive group of people. If you can find a group of people who can help you and be supportive, and you can talk to about this kind of stuff, I highly recommend it. So choice, I recommend picking one up. Oops. Another thing, the other thing I'm working on right here. Oh, there it is. Polygons in the game when you're in the editor. These things can only be 500 vertices. So this is the vertex count. That's 90. This one's 47. This one's 34. They're not really, this number isn't really functional for anything, but it's kind of cool to see. But you see, if I create one here, that one's 9. If I join them, now it's 29. Right? It just gets bigger and bigger. If you do weird shapes, it gets more complicated, right? Grows faster, just more vertices. And then once you get to 500, it sort of stops letting you update it. And that's for a couple of reasons. One is, see, there it goes, right? So now if I try drawing on it, see, it creates a new one instead. It doesn't join them. The problem that Peter found was it doesn't let you erase, right? So it's having some trouble erasing here. And that's because as it's trying to do the erase, it's going, you know what, that's going to end up being more than 500. So I can't erase it. But some of these erasures do work because they either keep the vertex count the same or they're lower vertex counts. Like that one works, right? Because it lowered the vertex count. And the reason for this is, once the vertex count gets too high, operations like rotate and move get a little slower. Here we go. So this should be 500 close. Am I close? Yeah, there it is. But that was actually, I think I'd put that vertex count in an older version when I was using less optimized code. So if I change it to 800, oh, I'm actually reducing the vertex count because I'm making the geometry less complicated. You see how the brush is kind of lagging there? It feels a little laggy to me. Maybe it's harder to see on stream. But that's like a symptom. That's a side effect of the vertex count being high because it's doing a lot of semi-complicated math in here with respect to testing if it's merging or deleting something. What do I do? 649. And I wanted it to feel good still, right? So I kept it at 500. See, that's not joining at all because it's going to go over the 800 limit. So I'm pretty close to 800, yeah. So, yeah, dragging it now, ugh. Yeah, even just selecting it is kind of slow. It's bogging down a little bit. I know 500 doesn't sound like a lot, but there are limits. GDScript is great, but it has limits. Hey, Martal. I'm great. How are you? I was just telling everybody here about my, this is turning into like a game dev therapy session. So 800 feels It rotates okay, that's fine. It moves okay, that's fine. The drawing and merging is a little slow. Erasing is a little slow. And it does have this issue where sometimes it's difficult to erase because you can end up with more vertices than the limit. So it'll let you erase sometimes when it'll decrease the vertex count, but otherwise not. So if I cut off some of these branches, it's going to start speeding up and feeling more snappy. Yeah, see, that feels good. And what is that size? It's about 250. That feels good. That feels good. Still feeling okay. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. That feels fine. I mean, maybe I could go up to 600. Yeah, it's just too slow again. Let me erase that. Even that. I'm going to keep it at 500. Sorry, Peter, I just can't change it. It's going to be 500. I think I could probably put in some code. So what this is telling me is there's some optimization I can do, because when I select one of these babies, it's doing some computation before I can drag it. And I can't remember what the code is doing, but I think it's doing something like trying to bake in the rotation, and it's basically going through all the vertices and baking in the rotation so that they're all oriented the same way. I think that's what it's doing. And it only has to do that the first time. That's why you get that lag the first time. I don't know if there's any way to speed that up, but I'm going to just say, I'm going to mark this bug won't fix. I'm going to change it back to 500. I'm going to mark it won't fix and just explain 500 is the limit. And I think that's fine, because 500 is actually really large. Like if you look at the gameplay area, right? Here's the full screen camera in game, right? So this block here, it goes the whole width of the entire screen, and it's only 90 vertices. It's fine. And in cases where you need, so one limitation of my builder here is that you can't have donuts. If I fill this, it's going to fill it in, right? All the shapes are, I forget the geometry word for this. They're convex. Anyway, whatever it is, you can't have a donut, right? So to do shapes like that, you have to do a workaround anyway, where you do something like this, and then you create a separate piece like this, and right? Or you do a donut like this, but you don't connect it on the other side. And it's too small for the player to get out. And that's fine. This actually looks pretty cool because you have little, you can imagine like you have a rock, right? Giant rock face. And the player's here, bop, bop, bop. And then there's a fissure, right? And they can see it, and it looks like, oh, this cool jagged fissure in the rock, right? But it's actually two different pieces. But the player doesn't care. The player doesn't care. And each of these that one's 59, this one's 60, and it's fine. So I think 500 is more than enough. I'm going to leave it 500, mark that bug not fixed, and done. All right, so back to my therapy session. Like I said, if you can find a game dev group that supports you, especially if you can meet in person. I know that's tougher nowadays. We actually we switched our meetup to online, and it's been cool. It's been nice, right, to hang out with everybody. Alternate, this is actually running in the editor. It's not a compiled build. So yeah, you're right. If I do run it in a compiled build, the performance will be better. But like I said, I think 500 is fine. So yeah, meeting people online, it's just not the same. I mean, we used to get together, we'd have pizza. shake hands, hug, high fives, sitting shoulder to shoulder. Hanging out with your friends isn't quite the same online. But if you can find a group that you can meet with regularly, the encouragement is real. The camaraderie is real. Being able to talk with people who are having similar problems that you're having is real and helpful. So that was great. But that really lit a fire under me, really, to keep working on the game. It was a huge motivator for me. And that carried me through 2018. And then sometime near the end of 2018, so I've been contracting. I do freelance work, and I've been doing that for 12 years. All right, Peter found another bug where fuel barrels aren't affected by gravity wells, and I think that's correct and right. So if you have some fuel barrels outside the gravity well and some inside, right? Oh, look at that. The gravity well stole the reactor core. Look at that. That's funny. Where was I? It'll come back to me. So I think that's correct that the gravity well or barrels shouldn't be affected by gravity in general. So out here, they definitely shouldn't be. Right? Because you don't want them falling down onto the ground whenever the level starts. You want them to be where they are, right? They've got anti-gravity assists, right? But in a gravity well, maybe they should be affected by gravity in the gravity well. Because that would be kind of fun, right? So that would be that this variable, gravity will deflect. I could add it to the fuel pods. Let me open up a bullet and see how I've done it there. Right? Just like that. So if I add that to the fuel pods, then they should be affected by gravity. Might have to restart it. So I've been freelancing for, 12 years, right? Working from home, self-employed, solo work, right? And that doesn't do anything. It's not working at all. And then I usually take December off. I've been doing that for a decade. And so I was enjoying my holiday. But leading up to that, I lost a pretty big contract that year because the company was sold. It was a company I had part ownership in, so it wasn't all bad. I mean, I got some money for it, but the regular work dried up. And then my other clients, I just got kind of tired of doing it. I was burned out. So I fired them all. So in December, when I took the month off, I really didn't have any choice. I didn't have any work to do anyway. And then I spent the month thinking about what I want to do and decided, let's try full-time employment again. So in January, I went looking, and that was hectic and kind of, I don't know, I haven't looked for a job in so long. It was weird. It was just an uncomfortable, weird thing to get back into. So that was a stressful month, but I did find a job very quickly, and actually started my full-time job in February. And that was a career change as well. So it was a new type of work. I wasn't coding anymore day to day. So that year, all of 2019 was just ups and downs and just, you can imagine getting into going from freelancing for a decade to working with other people, commuting versus walking to my office, having more control over my time versus having less control over my time. Working alone versus working with groups of people, making decisions versus getting approval, development cycles going from days to weeks or months. It was a huge, huge adjustment, and it took me pretty much the whole year to kind of get used to it. And then just when I was getting used to it, well, bam, global pandemic. Which, I mean, this isn't, I'm not trying to make excuses for anything. Everything's fine. I'm in a good place right now. But this is just what happened, you know. I don't know why this isn't working. That should work. Is there some code in here? No. No. That's a rigid body. That's a rigid body. Gravity well. Oh, it has to be in the bullet group. Do I want to add these to the bullet group? Why does it have to be in the bullet group? Why would I care about that? Let's remove that. And just make it this one condition. Yeah, hey Patrick. Yeah, it was a huge change. So, 2019, my productivity on the game obviously plummeted. And then 2020, we all know what happened. From March to June, I basically did nothing. From February to June, I basically did nothing because of a bunch of things. Fear, anxiety, politics. Ugh. Now, protests, more politics. I went out today, so I don't have as much fear about the virus anymore. I'm still taking precautions, but, it's still present in my mind. I think this should work now. Let's see what happens. Whoa. That might be too much. It does work. Wild. Let me turn that down. So the fuel pod doesn't need that much gravity. Let's do that. Yeah, still way too much. Let's do that. Yeah, that's better. So if one of these things gets knocked in there somehow, right? Like if let's see, let me take yeah, let's do this. Watch this. This shrapnel should push those things in there. Or maybe it won't. Maybe if I hit one. Or maybe not. I might have hit it too hard. Yeah, that was way too hard. Oh, look, I hit that one. Let's see what it does when it bounces. Is it going to get pulled in? Yeah, see, it's deflecting. Look at that. Yeah, that's cool. I think I'll keep that. I think one might be too strong again. What is this gravity? Okay. It's the scale. It's the gravity scale. So 1 is a normal value. That means it's 100% affected by gravity. If you make it 2, it's 200% affected by gravity. That's why I had to do with the, that's why the bullets are set at 60, because they go so fast. Otherwise you wouldn't see any curve. So theirs is really high. But for these things, which are very slow moving, it's fine. It's fine if they aren't affected as much as artificially. Right? They don't seem to be affected by shrapnel either, which is fine. That is obviously some design decision that I made that I've forgotten about. Here we go. Watch this. And it's going to curve. Oh, look at that. It's orbiting. Is it going to orbit? Look at that. That's cool. It's going too fast to orbit. But that's fine. That's cool. Alright, so that's fixed. Fuel barrels should be affected by gravity wells. Done. Yeah, a gentle drift. A gentle drift. Yeah, so around June, July, I just said, you know what, I'm sick of this. I want to finish this game. Because I'd already missed my first... I'd self-imposed this deadline on myself to ship the game by July. Or by June, actually. I said it was coming out in the spring, right? I gave me until June 20th or something. That flew by. Didn't do it. Felt pretty bad. So July, I felt like, you know what, let's just get some help. Just ask for some help. So I did. Contacted a couple guys, a little impulsively maybe, but I think I made the right decision. It's been great so far working with them. But, you know, at first it was like, you know, just again, so difficult giving up control and asking for help and without feeling like it's a failure. But the only reason it felt like a failure was because of these weird self-imposed restrictions that I put on myself in my own mind for no reason. No reason, really. It still took me a couple of weeks to realize that, and some soul searching to talk about it with my wife and myself and meditate. But I'm in a good place now. I actually feel pretty good about it, and it's fine. I'm still me. Even though I gave up some of my game to other people, it's still my game. It's still me. I'm still who I am. It's fine. Everything's fine. So that's where I'm at. I don't know when the game's coming out. I do want to release it this year. I'm hoping for summer. Don't hold me to it, but that would mean sometime in September for me, which I think is totally doable. I'm fixing up some bugs here, and like I said, I've got some help on level design, a little help on music, and that frees me up actually to do a lot of this other work that I want to do. A little bit more polishing, few more little mechanical tweaks like the one I just showed you with the barrels, and we're in a good spot. Anyway, thanks for listening to that ramble. I'm sure this isn't unique to me. I'm sure everybody has similar issues, right? Thinking about games or finishing games. And honestly, sometimes it feels like, you know, the old saying goes, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to make something big, you have to go with the team. Let me ramp up the power of this gravity well. Yeah, see, that's fine. That's cool. We're all just orbiting here, having a good old time in our gravity well, but those guys are fine. Just hanging out over there, doing their thing. The one thing I'm a little concerned about is that I took out that condition to check if these things are in the bullet group. And I think I did that because I didn't want anything to deflect in a gravity well unless it was a bullet. See, like that. But, in fact, bullets are the only thing that have that deflect alternate gravity scale. So the condition didn't matter. Yeah, that tracks in my brain. So it's safe to remove the condition and then just add the deflect variable to the fuel pods to get the same behavior on the fuel pods. I don't think I just made new bugs. It's always a good feeling. All right, next thing. If we have a level, let me go back into the level editor. If we have a level, you can put things in the game that are dead. So I can say, for example, I can put one of these guys here. And then I can say, you're dead. So it just starts the game dead. It doesn't do anything. It's sort of a prop, right? You can also do that with people, right? And they're not alive anymore. This guy's dead. Sorry. He's dead. He's alive. He's dead. Okay, so the alive ones will fall. The dead ones have no gravity. And that's so they can look really ragdoll-y and sad like that. But when you complete the level, you get dinged for the dead things. I'll show you right here. Leaving combat zone. Boy, you really have to leave, don't you? There we go. So, people rescued 0. Again, so this was a bug. Peter told me that the people, oh, maybe it's because, let's do this. So, again, everything gets kind of weird when you go through the level editor. It doesn't reset everything properly sometimes. Let's do a exit here, and then we'll play from start. So if I get the reactor, oh, I need to turn on this thing, don't I? Bop, 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 bop. So when I get the reactor, the exit beacon will show up. There it is. And I can exit the level. Yeah, and see, people rescued 0 of 3. So it counted the 2 dead guys. And it counted the 1 enemy as well. It counts the dead things against you. And I don't think it should if they're already dead. Yeah, it shouldn't if they're already dead. So that code is in here, I think. Maybe it's in the level editor. No, here it is. Right, so when the level starts, it resets all the stats in the game. It just creates a dictionary, creates all the stats, initializes them all, resets the score, does all this stuff, right? Then it calculates totals for everything. Calculates the total generators, or they were originally called generators, but I call them reactor cores now. I just didn't rename any of the code because that would be a lot of work. I didn't want to do it. Counts the total enemies, total number of fuel, total people, total pickups. So enemies and people can be dead though. So it shouldn't count the dead ones. So, okay, so I'm already not counting the dead enemies. Is that right? It said there's 1 enemy not destroyed. It says there's 1 enemy not destroyed. Is it counting this as an enemy? Is that an enemy? The game has obviously grown too large for me to hold the whole thing in my head. So I need to start looking things up. That's the generator platform. It is not an enemy. How does that code work? Get nodes in group enemy. get nodes in group person. Is it the reactor itself? No. Well, then it must be. It must be count. Oh, maybe I changed the implementation. Let's see. Max health 5. I did change the implementation. So I'd originally said I'll just consider things dead if their max health is 0. But then I changed the implementation later and changed it to this dead variable. And in the setDead function, it does some things, including setting the health to 0, doing the play dead animations. That's fine. I really want to do this. I know this is kind of confusing, but I think this is actually maybe bad engineering. But so most things have an alive variable, but then I've also got this dead variable, right? And the reason is this dead variable is a UI thing, and this is like an internal variable. And I think they probably they stay in sync. Let's see. Yeah, they do stay in sync. So when you set dead, it plays dead, and play dead says you're not alive anymore. So I can just check, am I alive? And I think people do the same thing. Except this time I called it alive. Ah! I wish I could be consistent. And this play dead, yeah, it does the same thing. So I can just say in here, if not alive, right? Then don't count it. If not alive, don't count it. Easy. That should work. All right, let's restart this and see what it does. So I have 1 alive person and no alive enemies and 2 dead people. And when I exit the level, it should show me I rescued 0 of 1 person and 0 of 0 enemies were destroyed. Perfect. Mark that one done. All right. All right, guys. I think that's going to be it for today. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for listening. I'm going to repost this on YouTube for anybody that missed it. So tell everybody, come back and visit my YouTube channel to watch it if they missed it. Also go to itch.io and Steam, wishlist it. Follow me on itch. Follow me on Twitter. I'm going to post some screenshots today from this for Screenshot Saturday. And go to gravityace.com, tell all your friends. And till next time, I'm going to go eat some pizza right now. I hope you all have a great weekend. And I'll see you next time. Adios, everybody.